Hi, it's Gadget UK here again, back with an Archimedes A3010 here. I've got two of these still. So what I want to do with these is upgrade one of them to 2 meg, well that one will go up for sale, and then upgrade the other one that I want to keep for myself to 4 meg. And then Zarchos is going to get a chunk of the money here for these, because obviously it's cost him a fair bit to ship these to me, and I just felt it was only fair to at least go 50-50. I think originally his intention was that I would just sell these and use this towards funds towards my channel, but that'll just be too much. So yeah, you might think I'm going to make a lot of money off these, and I will perhaps wield it over a long period of time, because it's going to take me so long to get all these up and running. Believe it or not, these have been sat with me for almost 2 months now, I think, something like that. And we're just getting through the first 2 here, one of which I'll be keeping myself, to this one up on eBay. So it might have already sold by the time you see this video. If it hasn't, it's pretty easy to spot that this is the one from Zarchos. So as I showed in the previous video, 3 screws along the bottom of the front of the unit here. Once you've got those 3 screws out, the lid just hinges off at the back, and then it just lifts up at the back like that, hinges out carefully. You don't need to bend any of the clips or anything like that. So in order to access the area under the keyboard here, you need to do a number of things actually. You need to disconnect the flat flex ribbons here. So if I just carefully just grab one of those and pull it like that. Same with that one. Then you can lift the keyboard and just be really careful, because you can snag it on the side parts there. It feeds through a little gap. The keyboard's truly stuck in there at the moment. There we go. Yeah, so you can see the issue. If you were to go sideways now, you'll damage the ribbon. You just need to just carefully pull the ribbon through. And you can see the RAM modules here. Now, technically, we could perhaps just, in fact, we'll do that. Instead of taking all the shielding off, we'll just pull them. So this one's upgraded. If we just carefully pull upwards like that, you can see there is the zip package. So I'll just make a note, the writing was to the right hand side there. What I'm going to do is transplant these into the other one, the one that's going to go for sale, so that will be a 2 meg system, straight up. Come on, there we go. So again, no bent pins, right into the right hand side. And there are some jumpers here, so I'll just inspect the mod that I bought. So the one I bought is here, you can see. I'll post a link up there where it's from, and a link in the description below. There you go, CGE Micros. So as you can see, you've got an IFL 4 meg A3010 4 meg upgrade here. So this is just going to fit into there like that, and then you can see the jumper settings here. Can you see? So for 1 meg, link 20 will be in 1 to 2, link 21 not fitted, link 22 1 to 2. So this one at the moment is 2 meg, so it will have that's just the same, link 20 there for 2 meg, that's the same, not fitted. So we need to change link 22 from 2 to 3 to 1 to 2 to make it 1 meg. But if you upgrade in one of these, stick in a couple of these chips here in to take it to 2 meg, you just need to change link 22, OK22, to join pins 2 to 3 instead of 1 to 2. So it's link 22 we need to change. Link 22 is this one here, you can just see. So if we just carefully try and pull that jumper off, what we are fitting here is 4 meg. So for 4 meg you remove that jumper completely. You can't quite see it, but it says remove it. So what we'll do is we'll just stick it onto one of the pins on its own. There we go. So that's that one done. And the other 2 need changing as well, 4 meg. So link 20 wants to be 2 to 3. That's link 20, so if we set link 20 there to the right hand side, so it's between pins 2 and 3. 1 is the one on the left, 2 is the middle, 3 is on the right. Link 21 wants to be fitted. Now link 21 is the one there that's not got anything on, so I'll just pull that one off there that's not doing anything at the moment. We'll stick that over there, so that's quite convenient. There we go. And then link 22 we've already done is not fitted, so that should be it. That should be it. Well, we've got 4 megs, so if we just carefully pull the foam off this. Now this has been in one of these boards previously when I've been trying to diagnose a fault. You may or may not have seen that video yet. So if we just make sure those pins are straight, and they are, and it wants to go, you can see here it says front, there's an arrow there, so it wants to go this way up. Now this is where, if you remove the shielding, it might be a bit easier. So I'll just carefully make sure that this is properly aligned before I commit to pushing it down. I'll just go get my magnifying glass because I want to inspect down here to make sure it's properly aligned. So that is properly aligned. We need to just carefully now push that down, and it will take a reasonable amount of pressure. In fact, change that to an incredible amount of pressure actually. So I pulled the shielding off there. All you've got to do is disconnect the floppy drive connectors here, and then just it slides forward. But can you see that's not in right? It's a good job I did decide to do that, because it isn't in at the back. You can't get the pressure from the back unless you've got that shielding off. Now the pins are all super lined up straight, but it's just not in the back. So let's try pressing down from the back side to see if we can get it to go in further. Yeah, I can feel that sliding in. Yeah, can you see that? Can you see the gap there? It's pretty regular now. So now we've done that, let's give that a try. So I think when you're upgrading to 2 meg, you wouldn't necessarily need to press as much. Yeah, there we go. That's booting okay. I need to connect the floppy drive up. But that should bring up the OS. Let's just, there you go, 4 meg. So that's worked fine. Using the metal ball mouse here, you saw in a previous video. So let's just go over there. Yeah, you can see we've got 4 meg there. If I scroll right down, yeah, total 4096K. So that one is a success. I'll reassemble this now. We'll test that afterwards. So what we'll do next is take the other one to pieces and upgrade that one to 2 meg. So this one we're going to put the modules here. I'll see if I can give you a close-up on those. I'll stick the part number in the top left for you there. There might be an equivalent, but I doubt it, because there's very few of this size of IC, and it might be very difficult to find actually. So the writing was to the right hand side on that of the board, so we just need to do the same thing, just very carefully align it, make sure the pins are all correctly, you know, inspect obviously before you insert it, just make sure you've not got any bent pins, which we haven't, and then carefully line it up. I can't really see what I'm doing from this distance. So trying this from a different angle here. Pin 1 marking is down here on the bottom, and that's where the slanted bit is. I'll show you on the other one in a sec. But I mean, just make sure it's aligned and carefully press it down like that. That's it. And just inspect to make sure none of the pins have come out around the sides, and they haven't. So that one's okay. So if we look at this one again from the front, can you see this little sheared off edge here on this side? So that's not focusing very well. That top edge there, this one's square. That one isn't. So that's pin 1, and as I say, it says there's a 1 on the silk screen just here. So make sure all the pins are straight again, which they are, and then carefully line it up with the socket. Do make sure it's totally aligned before you push it in. There we go. Just make sure there's no pins out. Now that looks okay. Just give them a gentle press to make sure they're in. So this time we're upgrading this 1 meg board to 2 meg. So we want the 2 meg positions here. So link 20 is 1 to 2 for either 1 or 2, so that won't have changed. Link 21, that hasn't changed. Link 22, we just need to change from position 1 to 2 to position 2 to 3. So he sent me a bunch of these 72-pin SIM modules here. You can see they're manufactured by Eiffel again. So those are really nice. I bought a load of 72-pin 4 meg SIMs for that. So we've got 3 of those. Now there were 5 of these. I fitted the 3, as you'll see in a minute, in the A3010s. This is really nice. I can't believe he's been able to obtain these. We got these from the Acorn user group show, whatever it's called. I forget the name of it. I'll stick it up there. In Cambridge, I think it was. You can see it's an Acorn IDE module V3C, and it's got a little drive on a DOM drive on module or something, or disk on module. It says there actually. Yeah, 512 megabyte 44-pin IDE flash module. So that's really nice, just plugs onto there. So I'm guessing you could, if you got a cable, you could connect an IDE cable up to that. You know, obviously it's the micro size, isn't it? Smaller size. Is it 44 pin or 40 pin? I'm not sure. So you could stick an IDE cable on that, and maybe connect it up to a compact flash adapter or something like that on the back of your Archimedes there. Anyway, we'll plug this into the various machines next. So I'll show you perhaps the 3010s first, and then we'll move on to the 3000. Let's just see, is it going to go that way? Or is it going to go that way, because those connectors are exactly the same, aren't they? I will just have a look at the documentation that came with this. Yeah, for the 8-bit V3, which is what that is, it says the components face towards the front of the machine. So it's going to go this way, isn't it? Hang on, I'll line it up like that. And then we've handily got this piece of paper that comes with it as well, and we just got to do these configure commands here. It's another one of these ones that uses ZideFS, and that should be it, I think, because I think this has been pre-set up, or these all have been pre-set up by Zarchos. So hit F12 there, and we take the following commands in here, so that's all 4 of those done. It would also be useful to set ZideFS as a default filing system. So if we do another one, configure, and it says push return to desktop, then reboot. So let's power it off. Yep, so we saw the ZideFS message come up there. I don't think you saw it on boot. All being well. Yay, we've got hard disk. Will it work? Yes. Sweet. So we've got ADFS here as well, ADFFS. Let's go into disks, see what disks we've got on here. Wow, quite a lot of stuff there. Not sure if there's an easier way to view the contents in there. Let's try Magic Pockets. Failed to allocate enough memory. Ah, okay. Yeah, we need to do a memory upgrade to this one. We need more than the 1 meg, I think. So I thought we'd have a quick look at this IFEL RAM expansion to see if we can restore this. It looks like all the pins are still on there okay. Can you see? I don't know if they've been cut down. There's a possibility those have been shortened, but I don't think so. I think they look the right height. So we just need to simply remove every single one of these wires, and then maybe use the solder sucker to see if we can remove any bits of solder off there. Maybe you have to get the desolder braid onto it. So it's yeah, it's going to be super time consuming doing this, because there's an awful lot of connections. Actually, it didn't take as long as I thought it was going to take to remove those, about 5 or 6 minutes maybe. So you can see we're left with lots of blobby solder there, but I think the pins are all there. They all look pretty straight. There's just the odd one like that on the end there that's a bit bent, so I can straighten them up afterwards. But the next thing we need to do is obviously get all the solder off there, so I'll just spend some time with the desolder pump here. I might try using the desolder station. I don't know, it's got quite a large tip on it at the moment. I'd need to find a really, really fine tip, I think. So we'll just have a go with this. You know, it's a case of, see if I can show you one of these, this blob here, for example, and just do a bit of that. Hopefully we should be able to get most of the solder off these. Then what I'll probably do is add a bit of flux and use some desolder braid. So I've had a change of plan. What I'm going to do is use hot air and pull it off that way. What I'll be able to do is kind of like prise under here and just, you know, prise it off. Ah, there must be an easier way of doing this. Yeah, I mean, I've had a quick go at doing it that way. I don't know. I am really struggling with this. I think I'm going to snip this, actually. I'm going to snip into chunks. Yeah, I'm convinced that this is the best approach, actually, to cut the black stuff. Just snip into it really carefully. Try not to put any pressure on the pins. And then I could probably just use the normal soldering iron, actually, rather than hot air. So I found the easiest way to get these off is just to break the plastic. You can see you can just scratch it a little bit upwards like that, and it comes off. You know, the little pieces come off there, just leaving the pins, which means it's super easy then just to desolder a pin at a time. You can even just heat from the other side and pull the pins through, and that's exactly what I've been doing. But can you see, look, it just breaks up really easily, this. It's just such a mess. I wouldn't want to leave that those connectors on as they were. They need replacing. They need swapping out. So if we try and grab one, I'll just grab one of the middle ones here, like this, and we'll just heat the solder point on this side. You see that? It just comes straight out. It's super easy to remove this way. Helps if you can grab the pin first, really. Oh, the one next to it's coming out now. Just occasionally I've had to add a bit of solder on this side just to get it to flow. If I try that again, hopefully that one will come out now. So if we grab it first. Yeah, I'll admit it's still not easy doing it this way. There you go. But you can see we've got 3 or 4 removed from there now. So anyway, I'll just continue around that and show you when I'm done, and then we'll clean up. So you can see we're on the last strip now, done that side entirely. I need to obviously unblock the holes and clean it up. We've done the outer one here, and you can see I'm just chipping off the plastic here now. The thing that aids this, makes it easier, there's no traces on this side. Well, there are. You can see there's 1 or 2 traces here and 1 or 2 traces up here, but all of the connectivity is on this side. So it's pretty, it's okay to just try and get this under the plastic here and just try and chip it off a little bit. It breaks fairly easy. Can you see that? It just crumbles into little bits. Woohoo, we're there finally. So I'll use the solder sucker just to unblock the holes here. Just scoop all that lot into a pile over there. I'll bin that in a minute. So I'll go over this with the desolder braid in a minute. I'm just unblocking any that I can that have got lots and lots of solder there. 1 or 2 are unblocking, others aren't. Hopefully the desolder braid will do the job. So let's get some flux onto here. Quite a bit actually. Let's just have a go with the desolder braid here. Got no idea how well this is going to work. Yeah, you can see it's unblocking the holes there. We just do these one by one like that. It's one of these things with desolder braid, you've got to keep cutting it back, because if you don't, it all gets saturated with the solder there, and its capillary reaction stops working. Its ability to suck the solder doesn't work anywhere near as well when it's got lots of solder on it. Well, that took ages, absolutely blooming ages. I mean, strictly speaking, there's no point in cleaning up thoroughly here, because we're going to get the connectors back on, some new ones, and then we're going to be soldering again there. So I'm not going to go to town on this. Just want a quick clean just to see what's what, see if we can see through the holes and stuff, and then this side needs cleaning up, because this side's not going to get touched by the soldering, is it? It's the other side. So the PCB, as you can see, is pretty clean now. There's just 1 or 2 holes blocked. If you hold it up to the light, you're not going to be able to see from here, but if I hold it up to the light, there's just 1 or 2 on one side blocked. The other one's alright. We can just test that actually, and you can see I've got some other stuff here, strips. They're not gold plated ones like were originally on there, but you know what, it makes a little difference on something like this. It's because, think about it, it's not like audio and video connectors on the back where the superconducting nature of a gold contact can mean that you've got a less resistance there, therefore getting a better analog signal. With something like this, the digital connections, it's either high or low, so it doesn't matter whether it's gold plated or not. Anyway, so I've got a bunch of these. In fact, they are gold plated on the plate with something. They look different to those there. They look a little bit. Can you see that? Yeah. So ignore what I'm saying. They are they've got a little bit of gold or something on them. Those. Anyway, so we'll get these on. It goes obviously that way up. So the difficulty here is you've got to make sure they're totally straight, because you can see you can wobble it like that. I can't really think of an easy way to do this. What I might do is fit 2, I can't do that one because some of the holes are blocked, but fit them like that there. That'll go the other way up actually, because it's the thinnest end I want downwards here. They've got a thicker part at the top and a thinner part at the bottom of these. Anyway, if I fit them like that, then I'll get a piece of turn pin socket and stick it between the two, because then the distance will be perfect and I can just get them nice and straight that way. Ignore what I was saying there, because it was slightly out actually, so the pitch is not right. You know, if you, the other thing is, if you go between the outer to the outer, they're not even in a straight line, so it's slightly at an angle like that. Does that make sense? So I did notice that no matter where you connected this along here, they weren't. It wasn't perfectly 90 degrees here. It's like an L shape there, but you can see I've just soldered each side point there on that. And that's about as straight as I'm going to get it, I think. So yeah, I'll just do the remaining ones. I've unblocked the other holes, and I can just literally whiz through these now and just fit them on there. There we go. After about 10 minutes, you can see we're all done. Everything's looking straight there, I think. I'll clean it with a toothbrush and some IPA alcohol, and then we'll go give it a try. I'll go over the cotton bud first, I think, just try and collect a little bit of that flux there. And there we go. You can see that looks just like they do when they're new now. Other than the odd little mark you can see here where it's perhaps been leaved out in the past. Yeah, I think you'd think that was new, so we'll go plug that in and see if it works. So I've took the lid off, removed the keyboard. Overall, from the previous video, I'm quite happy with the way this area turned out. You know, there was some traumatic damage that I inflicted removing that chip for the second time there. But you can see it came out really well. So I've left this with the IDE module connected up. And this has not been used for about a week. But as you can see, booted, no problems there at all. It picked up the IDE disk, so it's held the settings there. Non-volatile RAM settings have been fine for a week. So I'll switch it off now. There are a few reasons, obviously, you know, we'll fit the memory upgrade in a sec, but I'm just going to pull the IDC cable out, just stick that in a sec, because this one was borrowed from one of the other 3010s actually, and I ordered two new cables here from China. I've just disinfected these, by the way. So which way does this want to go now? Well, we've got the red band. Are these joined up the same way? This is one of the problems you always get with these, is you've got to be mindful of the way that it's actually wired on there. Can you see, like, it folds around? Look, this one doesn't. So it's the opposite of what you think, is the point I'm trying to make. Anyway, it's got the keyed bit. Let's just try it and see what happens. So if we connect it up like that and then fold it around and connect it back to the drive, I'm hoping it's going to be wired correctly. But before I test that floppy drive, we may as well plug this in. Now we need to set the jumpers first. So handily I had this. I'll do a photocopy of this and include this with this Archimedes on a seller. One thing to point out is I could remove that RAM and just fit this, because you don't need this. But I'll leave it there anyway, just in case at some point the ForMeg fails and someone wants to revert to the RAM that's on board. And then it says not fitted for LK22, which is that one, so that's correct. So if we just carefully plug this in now. Now remember, these sockets have been a bit bashed up in the past. And get this in. Actually, it wasn't too bad. It was just a case of putting a lot of pressure like that, and eventually it's gone in. So let's power it up and see what happens. So that blue screen took a little bit longer, so I'm guessing maybe it was testing the extra RAM there. But it should come up here saying 4096 if it's... Yay, there we go. 4096, sweet, fantastic. So I'll switch it off again, and we can now start to reassemble it. Before I commit to, connecting everything up properly, what I want to do is just connect the speaker and the floppy drive. And we'll kind of just rest the floppy drive somewhere, if we can. Hang on. Yeah, so I've got the floppy drive on there. Let's just connect it up here as well, the power. I'm just going to loosely sort of put this at an angle so it's not shorting or anything. Power it up, put a disc in the drive, just make sure the drive's working. So testing with the floppy drive, loosely rested there. Is that working? Yeah, it's reading it, I think. Yeah, there we go. So that cable works okay. But anyway, thanks very much to Zarchos for sending that. That is really good, because that now means that this particular one's got 4 meg. yeah, so the final thing we need to do to this one here now is just kind of prise, if I can, the lid off the modulator here. Well, it's really stuck on that actually. Okay, it's coming up with that. There we go. Kind of just wobble it a little bit so it comes out. And we need to fit a composite board. So I've got some more PCBs that I ordered from OSH Park. And the way I did it in the last two was to move some of these components like this here, flatten them around a little bit wherever you can. In fact, there's enough space there now that should be okay. Just move these resistors here a little bit. Make sure nothing's shorting. Snip the resistor here that goes to the video output. Snip it where it goes to the PCB down there. Snip the video in and feed the video in into the little PCB that's going to go here and the video out down there. I think there's a resistor as well. We need to add a resistor. The one there is not quite the right size. So I've spent the best part of an hour and a half cleaning up all these hex nuts here, reinstalling them, sticking the nut there on the 3.5mm socket on all three of these systems. One of them was okay, but the other two had completely omitted sticking these back on, these things. So yeah, they're all cleaned up. They've all got decent nuts and things on there. There was one that you saw, I think it was in part 2, was it? Or it might have been part 1, where there was, I think it was on the joystick 1 port here, there was a piece of the plastic broken because the it suffered an impact there previously. And I kept the nut and just cleaned everything up and held the nut on the inside with some pliers and just screwed it in. It's not this one, it's one of the other ones. So they've all gone together absolutely perfect. And then in places I cleaned up the shielding as well. This one's okay actually, the way I left it at the end of the video was okay. But the other two just have the little spots of rust, so I've cleaned those off. Now if you remember, in the last video I did say there were a couple of screws, well lots of screws missing on that last one, the red screen one. Now I managed to find a couple of these, the ones that go under the transformer here. So I'm going to remove the ones I put there and stick these in. Now I've cleaned these up with a wire brush, but I just want to show you, if you get a bit of deoxit onto a thread, onto a piece of paper towel like that, and screw into it, hold it super tight with your nail and screw into it as if you were screwing it into a case. You can feel when it gets to the end there. There we go. And the result, look at all that rust that's come off there. So before that was totally brown. You can see now it's looking pretty clean, that. But I mean, look at the difference. They both look like this. Look at that one now. That's what this one looked like a minute ago until I cleaned it up. There we go, both back in correctly. The one thing I was hoping for is to get some replacement feet here, because I've got one missing there, but there is one on the other side. Now I've got a spare base, so I'm going to go inspect that spare base just in case it's got both feet. If it has, I'll just pull one off and stick it on here, and then just check the other two to make sure they've got feet. So I'm just assembling the little amplifier board here. It's just a single transistor and a couple of resistors. So I've got the 3K3 resistor on there, I've got the 2N3904 on there. So just trim that off. Trim that one down. So we just need the 2K2 on here now. There's one other resistor which we need to stop sort of signal reflecting and stuff, like a termination resistor, 75 ohms I think. So I need to go and dig one of those out as well. And I'll obviously attach some wires on this in a minute and fit it inside the modulator can there. That's it, and clean that up in a second, but yeah, we're pretty much done. So I put a piece of Captain tape over that board there, just to isolate everything, but I put the termination resistor from the ground of that adjustable inductor there, and it goes to the blue wire, which is the output wire. That little board is dead simple. You've got like ground, VCC, video in and video out. So the video in comes from that where that white bung is there. You've got VCC and ground connections in here. I forget exactly where they were, I covered it in a previous video. And then obviously just the blue wire here for the video out, which is, as I say, terminated with that 75 ohm resistor. So the final thing I think I'll do there is just go and clean this up with the fiberglass pen, because you can see there's a little bit of corrosion on there. Now you could argue it's just cosmetic, but flakes of rust can fall off where you've got rust. And if you get a flake of rust, it's conductive, and there's loads of SMD components around there, so it's worth just spending a few minutes cleaning that up. spray a bit of WD-40 onto a rag here and just wipe over that now. There you go, you can see how much better that is. Yeah, that's not too bad. There's the odd spot of rust around that label, but you know what, that's going to be fine now. There we go. There you go, so Composite is looking very good as it could be really. It's not perfect, it's obviously going to look better on a VGA output or with a SCART lead. So it's loud, it's coming through the speaker. I'm going to try the joystick. Well, the fire button worked, so I think the joystick's working actually. Bear in mind, this is the one that had the faulty 574 related to controller port 1 actually. It might be controller port 2 actually, I'm not sure. Yeah, so the joystick works. Fantastic. Just a normal Kempston joystick. Yep, it's as hard as I remember it. Runs really well actually on an ARM250. It's that extra bit faster. So the thing wrong in the last video, you've got to feed the ribbon cables, the two flex ribbons, through there like that. And the keyboard sits on 4 mounts there. There's 2 on the left hand side and 2 on the right. See if I can get it right this time. There we go. Wasn't it in properly? And if we slide that one into position, there we go. Yeah, all done. You can see it's through the cavity there. So if we just get the IDE module back in, just making sure all the pins are correctly aligned, and we get the lid into position at the back and just slide it forward. That's it. So just testing the swivel here, you can see the joystick is working fine. It says press fire on player 2, so let me just change the joystick over to port 2. And I'll hit fire, and there we go, look, port 2 is working as well. So the 574 is swapped out there, it's working fine, no problems with the controller at all. Sweet. And in case you wonder what I meant about the 574, if you look back at, I think it was part 4, we replaced one of these 574s here. There was some corrosion, I think it damaged the IC. Actually, it wasn't just a case of the corrosion not being removed, it actually caused a fault there, and that was causing an issue with the chips chip. So I forget exactly which one it was, but you've got one of these for each port. You can just about see it says I think something like 9-way plug there. These are the 2 joystick ports on the back. So it was important that I tested the joystick ports in here. This makes me laugh here. If in doubt, ask. Yeah, that's true of my channel. If in doubt, ask. Yeah, looking at the spare base here, that foot's gone. There's a little, it's flat. It shouldn't be like that. That's just like the underneath of the sticky bit. But over here we've still got the rubber foot, so I'll swap that out to here. The cream coloured one's got both its feet missing, so yeah, there's nothing I can do about that. So I've put a tiny drip of super glue there because this rubber is going to disintegrate. It needs something to hold it, not just like a double-sided pad or something. You could always just pull that off and replace that at some point in future. Just press it down. The main thing is it's got both of those. So just giving this a quick clean. This particular video is thanks to the 32-bit tier patrons. So we've got Xavier, who provided these, Liv2, Dennis Vandenbroek, Darren Cousins, the Hunsra, James Bolton, Anson Gale, Mike Pearman, and thank you to all my other patrons as well, but those guys are on the 32-bit tier, and I said I would give them a mention. But thank you to everyone that supports this channel, however you support me. Just comments and things, of motivation make a big difference. So it's been a difficult year for me this year. Having lost my job last year, I did secure another job working for a friend, but it's part-time. It pays like half of what I was on before, so the benefit of people supporting me on Patreon means that the other half of my time is spent doing videos like this. This is half of my job, effectively, so every dollar makes a huge difference. Thank you very much. Sweet. So just testing the 3010 here. Amazingly, this has been sat around, and you know what? This one was coming with a red screen. Now this is the first one I looked at on my channel. There's no reason this should have been given a red screen unless there was some fault I'd missed. And powered it off and on a good several times. Still red screen every single time. And I thought, okay, well this is the one with the 2 meg modules. Let me show you. So if you look here under the keyboard, if I just try and carefully lift the keyboard up if I can without breaking any of the posts off. Easier said than done. It kind of sticks in one corner. There we go. If I just carefully lift it up, you see the modules here? All I did is just press this and it moved. It's like chip creep. Even though it's not being moved or banged or knocked or anything, that I just slipped just a little bit to one side, and I strained it up, pressed it down, and then it booted up, no problems at all. So yeah, that's the sort of thing that you need to be really careful of. And I'm going to mention that to the person that I sell this to, that if he finds he gets a red screen when he first powers it on, he's going to need to undo the 3 screws here and just make sure the RAM is plugged in properly there. Just press it down to make sure it's flat in. And the other thing, whilst we're on the subject of testing things before you sell them, I tested the audio jack here, and it was only working on one channel. I was like, oh no, I've sold this. I need to now do something. It just needed a bit of contact cleaner. That was all it was. If you wiggled it a lot, you could, turned it, twisted it, not wiggled it, but twisted it in the socket there, you could start to get a little bit of a signal. So I put some deoxit on and then just inserted and removed it a good 20-30 times, quite a bit of deoxit actually, just to make sure it's nice and clean in there, and now it's totally reliable. So this was the red screen one. This is the final one that I've assembled here. All of these have been cleaned up and tested the same way. I've checked everything on these. Keyboards are fully functional. This one's just slightly yellowed, but it's not too bad. I think this one I'm going to be keeping for myself. It's the only one of these that I will be keeping. I'll pay Zarchos some contribution towards the value of what this would have sold for. And you can see there's a little patch of yellow in here. It's not too bad. You can always retro bright that little bit. So surprisingly, I had to tear this one right down again, as you can see. It was doing crazy things. I connected the VGA up, everything was working, and I plugged the mouse in, and I was looking at something else in the room, and then I turned around and noticed there was no display. It was powered on still, there were no problems with the LEDs and things. I thought, what's going on? Switched it off and on, and then it was giving flashing fault codes, and I couldn't get video up at all. It was just acting really, really strangely. So, as you can imagine, I was worried a little bit, so I spent ages tearing it down, removing things, removed the ID module, podule I should say, pressing down on things, inspecting, pressing the RAM here. I just couldn't get it back on at all, and I thought, let's try with Composite. With Composite, it was given a red screen, which indicates a RAM fault again. So again, I pressed down here. I couldn't get it to come on at all. It wouldn't get past the red screen. I thought, I wonder if there's these jumpers here, because bear in mind we cleaned up a lot. We replaced this chip very early on. The RAM was replaced. We did have some damaged traces, but it was none of that stuff. It was these jumpers. All I did is slid it up and down, and it feels a bit rough. I think these pin headers here got a little bit affected by the corrosion, and I just, like I say, just slid up and down like that, switched it on, came straight on, no worries. And it's not the first time I've had that. I think I may have mentioned it in a previous video that I had a red screen issue with the red screen one again at some point. Last time I just pressed there, switched it back on, and it was okay. So there is something still around here. I think it's these though. I might do it off camera. I might replace these pin headers here with brand new gold plated ones and put some new jumpers on. But as you can see with Composite, it's up and running. Now if I just, what I wanted to show you, I'll show you. If I power it off, I'll connect the VGA cable up, and hopefully this will work. So the observation I would make there, in fact that's still on Composite, but I can switch over, or is it going to do it itself? I'm not sure. Yeah, when the VGA cable's connected, it will switch over to VGA. I'm not sure how it identifies that. I'll show you again. If I switch it on, Composite, we've got display, and then it'll cut off. Hang on. Look, it cuts over. So I think if I now change the channel to the VGA input, yeah, I can see the cursor there. You will see, look, it comes up in a small box just because of the resolution. Hopefully you can see just how crisp and clear that is. So I'll need to reassemble this again now and then install the hard disk again. I've got to run those configure commands. So you might just be able to see there, there's a little bit of flux and stuff still around there, perhaps from when we replaced this. Yeah, you can perhaps understand why I want to keep this one. Not just because it's, well, a massive amount of time invested in this one, but it's just the risks, you know. There may be still a fault with this I haven't quite got to the bottom of. Maybe it's not just this sticky, there's lots of hairs, look there. Maybe it's just not this this here. Maybe there is an additional fault. I would hate to sell it and then have this problem reoccur. Because you've got to remember, with something like this, that weight for shipping, you know, they weigh a fair bit. So it's like, if I have to get this returned to me under warranty, it's just a trauma, an absolute trauma. The main thing is to spend sufficient time burning testing something like this. You know, you want to give it some heavy load for a prolonged period of time, and over a variety of different times, you know, different days, you know, so you don't use it for a week and then use it for a week, etc, etc, and you know, try and give it a good thorough test. There we go, it's looking a bit cleaner. So let's just clean with a bit of deoxit, as I said I would. That's my last bit of this tube actually, I need a new tube now. Yeah, there's little black marks coming off with that, so I think there was a bit of oxidisation on there. But they're not rusted, they're not corroded, that's for sure. Yeah, can you see the cotton bud? It's like a dark grey. So that has brought something off there. So get that first one on, 2 to 3 want a set, and the other one wants to be the middle one on, I think. Let's try that. Sweet. One more thing before I put the lid back on. If you watched part 3, I think it was, or part 4, when we swapped this chips IC, I melted the edge of this polyester cap here, and you might not think that's very important, but it is, because this is made of like polystyrene or polyester. I don't know whether it's one and the same thing. It probably is, or very similar. But the insides of it are very sensitive to high heat like that. So even though it's just the very top edge here is just melted a little bit, and I strained it out somewhat and I measured it, it's 4.7 nanofarad. It's still measured as 4.7 nanofarad. I've ordered a replacement for that anyway. It won't be here in time for the upload of this video, but trust me, it's on order. As soon as that comes, I will take this back to pieces, remove the board and replace that cap. The other two were totally unaffected. I should have just got a little bit of Captain tape around there. I'm always, I'm one of these people, I pop onto the videos and say, oh, you need to stick Captain tape on there, that's why things are melting. And on this occasion, I just forgot to consider that. So something I did but didn't film was this caps lock LED here was not illuminating. Now I've had this before. In this particular case I needed to add some conductive ink to the pads where the LED go. That was the issue here, they were just too worn. That's the conductive ink I used to fix that. And all I did is just paint the two black pads there where the LED sits for the caps lock. And I dried it using hot air, 100 degrees for about 30 seconds on both sides until it was touch dry, just like I did on the CPC video there. So this one had no screws on the bottom at all, and the screws I've used in here, these are the ones for holding a C64 motherboard in. You'll have seen me use these lots of times, and it just so happens they're exactly the right size for many of these systems. I may have shown this label before, I honestly can't remember because these have been juggled around. This is the final one, the other two went out, and this is the one I'll be keeping for myself. You can see this was like, I don't know, electrical passed, presumably a PATS test, but the company was called PETS, strangely enough. Anyway, yeah, 2001 by the looks of things, and retested in 2002. Sweet. Let's just see if we can start this. I'm not sure if I need to plug a joystick in. Yeah, so joystick's working, let's just go, one player game. Don't know you do this now. You've got to go to escape, I think. So I'm playing with the arcade stick that I built in a previous video, thanks to Zarchos, who provided the shell for it. So amazingly, all 3 of the A3010s that Xavier sent me, I managed to get back to work in pristine condition. Alright, there's a little bit of yellow in there, but I could clean that. So as I said, this is the one I'm going to keep in for myself. Many thanks to Xavier. It's been great working on these. It's incredible how long it's taken to get to this point. I mean, part 5 here, just over 12 months from when Xavier originally sent me these. But I have worked my way through most of them. I've got like 3 or 4 3000s left to look at. And everything else has been dealt with, I think, apart from one A440 or A300 or whatever it is, keyboard. So that'll be another video. We will be revisiting the 3010. It's not the last time we'll be looking at the 3010. I think the A3010 is really nice in that the ARM 250 gives you 12 megahertz versus the 8 of the A3000. So for some games, you know, like that, what's it called, Star something, that 3D game that I forget the name of, yeah, that runs a lot better. And things like Alone in the Dark. Alone in the Dark is one of my favourite games from the PC back in the day, so it's nice to be able to play that on here as well. Anyway, I do hope you found the video interesting. If you'd like to support the channel, please see the Ko-fi and Patreon links down below. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.